I'm Dave Palumbo, founder of Species Nutrition. I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work and are backed by science. From my earliest bodybuilding days, I believed in only putting the best in my body. And that lives on in the Species Nutrition line of products. We use only top-of-the-line formulations dosed for maximum results and the best flavoring systems available. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. Welcome back to Live With, brought to you by Species Nutrition. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today's guest is multi-millionaire real estate developer, but more importantly, a man who made an incredible physique transformation, proving that you can do anything if you put your mind to it. The man I'm talking about is Anthony Lolli. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm a big fan. I would have never imagined being on this show 2 years ago.
Well, you're used to being on like Fox News and stuff like that, you know, having people ask you about, you know, how you make money in real estate.
Yes. I mean, I've made like over 3,000 media appearances. I was a regular on Fox, CNN,
I remember,
CBS. But this actually means a lot more to me because this is like the next chapter in my life, and this is health is wealth.
Well, you know what the truth is? You can't buy health, but you have to, you know, you could have all the money in the world, but if you don't want to put the hard work into it, you're not going to get it out. And there's a sacrifice involved in everything you do. And I think there's a huge disconnect from making money to actually changing the way you look and feel. Don't you think?
Absolutely. I think that the same principles apply. You know, I think that there's a lot of people that have a standard of excellence in the things that they do in business, but they don't apply it to their bodies. Right. And all I did was just cross over. Same thing that Arnold did. You know, he applied the same principles of bodybuilding and applied it to his business career. I just did the complete opposite, and it worked.
It's harder to do the complete opposite because when you make a lot of money, it's like, well, you know, you want to just enjoy yourself. That's the mentality. And you were enjoying yourself maybe a little too much, obviously, and that's you know where you went wrong. At what point did you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to die and not even be able to enjoy my family. I'm not going to be able to enjoy all this money I made. I got to do something about it. At what point did you say I had enough?
Well, you know, everybody who's obese has this threshold, you know, and in bodybuilding, you know, they call it progressive overload, right?
Yes.
Where the body adapts. So people have fat progressive overload. So my threshold was 300 pounds. Anytime I touched 300 pounds, then I started getting all the ailments, the sleep apnea, the chest pains, all these type of things. Wow. And then all of a sudden, the seatbelt extender on the airplane, I can't get on the roller coaster ride. Right. I can't, you know, do the fun things anymore. And so at that point, it was just ridiculous. But, you know, in my documentary, I talk about an incident with my daughter that changed my life because I just didn't want to be a fat, embarrassing dad for my kids, you know, because kids can be pretty cruel, pretty mean. And I didn't want them making fun of my daughter for their dad or my son for that matter.
Right. And you were a dad who came into being a dad much later, like, you know, kind of like myself. I mean, you're in your 40s and you're starting to have kids. And so you didn't really care about the way you looked earlier, but you know, you grew up, I was watching your documentary, you grew up as always an overweight kid, which had to come into play psychologically because kids are cruel. I know it. I've seen it. I'm sure I was, you know, not the best kid either because I was never overweight. And you make fun of the fat kids. I mean, and that's unfortunate that kids do that, but it happens. How did that affect you psychologically?
You know, growing up in Brooklyn, you got to get tough, you know, and you got to get rough. So, you know, it does affect you. You know, you see things like even as a little boy, mothers would bend over and talk to their kids and point at me and say, you see that? If you keep eating like that, you're going to look like him.
Yeah.
You know, little incidents like that happen and they stick with you. And then throughout your adulthood. But, you know, when you become successful and the world is your oyster and you're not losing and you're wearing suits, you're hiding the fat and you're finding ways to adapt. And then society's telling you it's okay to be overweight. It's okay, be yourself and all this kind of stuff. So you start buying into all that.
Right, right. Now, when you were growing up, did your parents like try to put you on diets, or were they the enablers who fed you?
Yeah, they tried, they tried to put me on the Atkins. I was an only child. So, it's hard. It's a cross between being spoiled as an only child with love and caring, and then at the same time, just eating, but there's only so much a parent can do, when you get to the point where you have access to doing things. I always was kind of like an entrepreneur, even in my younger years, even before I was even a teenager. I was selling whatever I could get my hands on, artwork. I was drawing and selling lemonade, whatever. Right. So I was always able to kind of make my own money, but that money was going into cheese doodles and popcorn and things like that.
Where did this entrepreneurial spirit come from? Because well, I think your mother was a teacher, your father was a teacher, right?
Yeah, what happened was my mom was an immigrant from Ecuador. She migrated here, lived in an abandoned building, worked in sweatshops, and then worked in a beauty salon, and then worked taking care of old people. Okay. My dad was a World War II veteran. He moonlighted as an insurance broker, and then during the times of Elvis Presley, he learned how to play the guitar and started tutoring everybody how to play the guitar. Everybody wanted to be Elvis in his era. So then he became a public school teacher, but he was moonlighting to make ends meet, doing photo with the parrot. He had a blue and gold macaw on his shoulder, and he would take pictures of tourists with a Polaroid camera in Little Italy and all over Manhattan.
He was an entrepreneur too, yeah.
He was an entrepreneur, so I saw the hustler spirit.
Yeah, that's crazy. Where did he teach?
He taught in New York. He even taught in New Jersey. He taught all grades. He taught music, math, science.
Gotcha.
So he was, a man about town.
Yeah, my dad was an English teacher in high school for 35 years, so I can relate to that.
In his later years, he actually taught in Rikers Island Prison.
Wow.
The high school, the GED program.
Oh, that's
It was
awesome.
interesting to see some of these prisoners after they got out of prison. Because he would teach them how to tie a tie, how to do an interview, who'd go above and beyond. They'd come to the house and visit and say, "Thank you. For you, I got a job, I got a car, I got a wife," but a lot of these guys were muscular too.
That's funny. It's amazing the influence you meet on people. I know my dad taught the actor Eric Estrada, and my dad actually talked him into going into acting. Believe it or not, and he later came back and thanked my dad for that as well. So I could understand how teaching is an important profession. A lot of people don't put enough. I guess you could say status behind teachers anymore, and I think that's a mistake.
Yeah, well, I think now that the pandemic happened, I think a lot of parents really, really, really want the teachers back.
Yeah, they don't want to homeschool their kids. That's why. I don't want to homeschool my kids. I want them out of the house. So let's talk about. Okay, so at 19 years old, is that when you started your first real estate business?
Yeah, when at 19, I was going to a community college, and I knew that wasn't going to make me rich. I said I had a high taste and a high lifestyle that I wanted. I was very ambitious. So I dropped out and pursued a real estate career. I got my real estate license. And, I remember sitting there in the classroom, and the instructor was saying, "You can be a millionaire. You can do this. You can do that." And I raised my hand. I said, "Sir, if that's the case, then why didn't you do that?"
Right.
And then he pulled me to the side after class. He said, "You know what, Anthony? I understand what you're saying, but guess what? I own this real estate school, and here's how much money I make." And so at that point, I knew he was making $1.5 million a year.
Wow.
So I said, "No problem, sir. I'm going to pay attention."
Yeah.
And then at that point, I formulated my plan. I said, "I'm going to get my real estate license. I'm going to learn everything about real estate, be a really good salesperson." But I said, "I'll be damned if I have access to all of these multi-building owners and real estate owners and not pick their brains, find out how they did it."
Right.
So I started, getting them as my mentors. I was bringing something to the table to them, selling or renting their properties, and they were bringing something to the table to me.
Interesting. Who was the most influential person that you encountered over the years?
I think it's a mixture. There's just not one, across between a lot of the landlords. I had a cousin I talk about in a book that I wrote, who was a very successful entrepreneur, an alarm guy. My brother, I have a half brother from my mother's side, became a very successful guy in the technology business. So I had a lot of people that I aspired and admired around me, even from, remember, I was a young guy in business. So I had to do business with attorneys and title guys and insurance brokers. And I was doing business with the owner. So I saw and got a chance to work with them in their office
Sure.
and saw how they manage the staff. You know, when you're a new business owner, a big deal is getting a secretary, being able to afford a secretary's salary, you know, and then finally, you know, giving you know, sharing the workload with somebody else, being able to trust somebody else that can do something what you do.
That's what I wanted to ask you. You know, I've had historically problems with getting, you know, employees who are willing to work as hard as I am, you know, type of thing. And, you know, how do you train people or find the right people to put into positions of importance where you know that, hey, my business is riding on this position. I have to worry about this person doing as good a job as I would do.
I think the analogy I can give you is it's kind of like being a coach, right? I'm going to coach you to the Olympia.
Right.
So a lot of these people, you need to talk to them. What do you want to do with your life? How long do you want to work? I know I'm going to be a stepping stone. Am I a stepping stone for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years? What, or 6 months? What is it? So if you have that transparent conversation, they'll give you the best of themselves for that period of time.
Yeah.
You can't blame them. If your business is not growing enough to be able to increase staff, increase responsibilities, increase their salary, then you can't blame them for wanting to fly and going somewhere else. So you're going to have to pay your dues with a lot of turnover, especially if you're not looking to pay top salaries. That's the thing. Most people get into business, even if you own a gym, everybody on your staff is not getting paid more than $20 an hour. No. What do you expect is going to happen? There's going to be a lot of turnover. So you just have to condition yourself mentally to build a system that handles turnover.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay, that's very good advice. And I think a lot of people don't realize that in their businesses. Expect turnover and be prepared for it, and then you won't be taken by surprise or let down, is what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely. You want to be the key player in your business. And if you have a good structure of training, then you don't mind the turnover. You don't mind it. You like a fresh perspective. Some people get burnt out after a while. You embrace the turnover. Sure.
Very good point. Now, let me ask you this question, because 19, you start your own real estate. At what point do you say to yourself, I want to be just bigger than just, you know, what I can provide for myself? In other words, what was your vision? Where did you get the idea at that young an age to say, hey, I want to have like a franchise of businesses? I mean, that's a pretty lofty, you know, goal for a guy who's a teenager.
Well, it started way before that. When I was 6 years old, my mom would go to Saks Fifth Avenue. She would try on mink coats and beautiful dresses and perfume, put them back on the rack, and we would leave. She'd never buy anything. And she would look in front of the mirror and do turns, and she was basically fantasizing about those things. And in one of those visits, I saw a waterproof watch that I saw in a Saturday morning cartoon commercial that was like $12. And I was begging my mom to buy it. She didn't want to tell me why we couldn't buy it. Eventually, she broke down in tears and said, I'm sorry, Anthony, we can't afford it. So as we were taking the bus back home, I told her, one day I'm going to be so rich, I'm going to buy you a white limousine with a chauffeur and a white mansion, and you're going to go shopping and do whatever you want, and you go eat at the most expensive places and do whatever. And so many years later, I actually did those things. I bought her a white mansion. I bought her. She's had white Range Rovers. She's had white Hummers. White Mercedes. So you know, it was that kind of drive, that fire in my belly to change my family tree. Wow,
that's great. Now, during this whole, obviously, building of this business, and you have a unique real estate, if I understand correctly, your real estate business is unique because you only do rentals. Is that right?
Yeah, what happened was I started in real estate like anybody else. You know, I was selling homes. And then the 2007 hit, and that was dead. So I completely shifted gears into rentals. I said, you know, the way you become the 1% is by servicing the 99%. So I focused on renting. And then I became one of the biggest rental companies in New York City. So I really grew the brand. And while other companies were shutting down, you know, shuttering, closing doors, losing salespeople, I was growing. And then I got into the billboard business. And then I got into the real estate school business. And then everything just was synergistic. It was just all growing and growing and growing. And then, of course, the media came in after that, and I started becoming a personality in the real estate industry.
Now, I have to imagine, because I know I have a lot of businesses, not to the level that you would do, obviously, but the stress that is ensued, even though it's exciting, even though you're building things, there's a lot of stress because you got a lot of bills to pay. you got mortgages, you got employees. How did you deal with that stress? I mean, how did you manage it, and how did you, keep balance in your life? Although you didn't really have too much balance because you were eating a lot, but how did you balance all that?
I did a lot of partying too. I did a lot of partying. I had a bachelor pad where I had behind my office, I had a duplex apartment. I would crash there. Every Friday we'd have a DJ, we had a jacuzzi, and we'd have like a bubble party, and everybody would get their paychecks and celebrate. So we did a lot of partying, but I remember there was this one specific moment when I was 21 years old on the second property that I bought. I had a fire and somebody died in the building,
Shit.
and it was an accidental, it was a candle fire. I was the 13th candle fire of that year, and they died of smoke inhalation, even though I had smoke detectors and everything. It was a tragic moment. And I looked at my parents, and my parents says, I don't know, I'm not in real estate. I don't know how I can help you with this. Like, we love you, but this is something you wanted to do. And I remember it was like 2:00 in the morning. It was freezing cold. I was out there. Ambulance was there. The news was there. And then I called a buddy of mine, this really big time Greek landlord, owned a bunch of buildings. And he laughed. I said, what do I do? What do I do? He's one of my mentors. He says, Anthony, I own buildings where the elevator just got inspected and there's a pregnant woman in it. The next day it falls down. Like, he says, pick up your skirt and grab your balls. It's either you're going to do this, but you want to be in this business, or you don't want to quit right now, or, stick to it, make a decision. So when I heard that this is just a part of the job, you did everything right. Life happens, as they say, shit happens. You just have to be able to kind of roll with the punches. That kind of shifted gears for me. Then I started looking at asking questions to a lot of these mentors about their hard times.
Right.
What were some of the most difficult moments? So it shifted from aspiration to now just let me learn so I don't make those same mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Now, the reason I ask you this is a good transition, because at some point, this wisdom that they're giving you really needed to be applied to you personally, because here you are, trying to help the world out, trying to make a lot of money. You're very successful, but yet obviously you're not happy in your body. There's no way, I don't believe any overweight person is happy, because they try to convince themselves, they tell the public that, but inside you have to be hurting, because no one wants to look, overweight. No one wants people to look at them as being pariahs or something wrong with them. How did you internalize that and accept it? And at what point, I know you said you wanted to, obviously for your health purposes, but at what point did you say, that's it, I'm done?
My wife was very healthy. She always liked eating healthy. She always liked teaching those health habits to our children.
Right.
And I was the one eating off the kids' menu, cheeseburgers, mac and cheese, French fries, and things like that. Yeah. And so we didn't see eye to eye on those things. And I became a bad influence on the children. The children wanted to know why they have to eat vegetables and eat, all these nice foods. And I get to eat all this bad stuff. And so at one point, I wasn't invited to eat at the table anymore with them, because I was just a bad influence. So, at one moment, I got so upset. I said, I'm going to eat with everybody, and that's that. So I'm there, and then my daughter's trying to eat my French fries, and my wife got fed up. She said, you know what? My daughter's name is Love. She said, Love, don't eat that. You're going to get fat. She knew how to get under my skin. And Love, she was 2.5 at the time. She says, what's fat? She shows her a video about obesity, and there's, obese people in the video, fat people. And then it said obesity kills. It showed them in the hospital. And my daughter saw me going through sleep apnea tests and going to the hospital, all that kind of stuff. And she said, Daddy, you're fat. I don't want you to die.
Oh, wow.
And, it was funny because, you don't really think about it. I remember I was sitting with my mom. She said, it's great you have all these children and you have these kids, and it's awesome. She goes, do you know how much do you love your kids? And I said, man, I've never felt this kind of love before for anybody else. She goes, I love you that much. And then it dawned on me. I said, Mom, you really love me, So, and then she said, but, are you even going to be alive to see them grow up, the way you're doing it? And I knew, because my partner was also ballooning. He was 295 pounds. Right. We would get custom suits, because when you're that big, you have to get a custom suit.
Of course,
you can't get it off the rack. And so by the time the tailored suit would get to my house, I would be fatter. It
Oh
wouldn't
my
fit me.
God.
And so it turned into us seeking out the best burger places, the biggest burgers, the juiciest and greasiest burgers, the craziest milkshake places.
It was like a drug addiction almost, the food.
Yeah, it was like, you know what? We just threw our hands in the air and said, you know what? We're going to just die fat and happy.
Yeah.
You know, I remember telling my wife, I'm like, you know what? If I die at 50, I'll be fat and happy. It's you just convince yourself.
Right.
You know, it's nuts. But it was that moment that I made a decision and I was going to stick to it. That was it.
Now, I watched in your documentary, you show kind of the first day back at the gym.
Yeah.
Who do you? Now, you're a smart guy and you're a business guy, so you're gonna get people and surround yourself with people who are gonna help you achieve your goals. What was the team that you put together to help you get into the best shape of your life? And first of all, how heavy had you gotten? What was the heaviest you got?
At my heaviest, I was 315 pounds. But most obese people know how to lose between 10 and 30 pounds. Every obese person has the trick up their sleeve. Some sort of crash diet, some sort of exercise. Everyone has their ability to kind of lose weight, but then they end up gaining more than they lost, and it just slowly climbs up. So I knew I couldn't go into my old bag of tricks because insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, as Einstein says. Yeah. So I wanted to seek out people that were like me, that were obese and made a transformation.
That's smart.
So I went to my local gym. And I had met somebody that was obese, and he had an amazing six-pack. And on top of that, he was somewhat of an entrepreneur, aspiring. So I knew I would bring something to the table business-wise.
Gotcha.
I could mentor them business-wise, and he would teach me all the tricks on how to lose weight, you know. And then I knew I was going to hit a wall. I joined CrossFit because I tried it once when I was really fat, and I failed. I quit like after 10 minutes. I walked out, and I said, I want to hit the things that are the most difficult. Let me go back to what I failed at and conquer that, you know? So I joined CrossFit too. And I started doing all those crazy things that they have you do, and it was working. And then I started doing HIIT with the guy that was obese. But then I knew I needed to get my nutrition in check. You know, I knew
were you still eating bad at this point?
No, not at all. Okay. Not at all. You know, I eat whatever I'm told to eat, whatever I'm programmed to eat. I was very fortunate to actually go on a bulk during the pandemic. So this was my first time going on a bulk because it's impossible really to gain muscle while you're losing 125 pounds. I did it, but I didn't really gain the amount of muscle that I really wanted, like in my legs, in my back, in my chest. Right. So I was able to kind of go on my first real proper bulk this time, which was kind of fun. Yeah. So I found a nutritionist online that was from overseas, and he was obese, and he did his own transformation. And I said, this is a guy that can relate to me. And he was young. And I remember he had a tattoo on his arm, has a tattoo that said millionaire right on his forearm. And I said, are you a millionaire? He says, no, man, I want to be. I said, tell you what, if you help me do my transformation, I'll help you become a millionaire, you know? So we worked together, a nice deal, and now we work together now in our business. So it's kind of awesome. So I assembled a nice small team, and then I had another trainer, buddy of mine that I met through my barber, who also wanted to be like a trainer. He wasn't really a trainer, but he had an incredible physique, and he used to play for the Mets, but he hurt himself, so he wasn't able to kind of play professionally. And but he had an awesome physique. He never competed before, right? And so I encouraged him to actually compete, and he won his first competition while training me. So what was his name? His name is Ed. Okay. So it was an NPC here in New York City. Okay. So Ed Pena. Nice. So he's in the documentary. Too. Yeah. That's so now how long does this whole transformation take place? I mean, how long does it take you to lose all that weight? It took me 9 months, 9 months to lose the weight. And honestly, and then I went into a surgery to get rid of the loose skin. Sure. And then you're supposed to take a year to recover from that. But I actually just took a month and then went back to the gym. Even when I had the blood bulbs collecting my blood, I was working out. Oh, wow. And I was able to kind of heal myself enough to continue working out and then just, go into a cutting phase and just get a nice physique. Why don't they want you to work out for a whole year after you get skin reduction surgery? Well, first of all, you're cut up. Your whole entire waist from, the entire circumference. They basically cut the loose skin like a long shirt.
How much loose skin did you have? A lot?
I had quite a bit. In the documentary, I actually pull it and stretch it out.
Oh, you showed it? Okay,
and
yeah, you
show
showed
you
it.
how much I have. It was quite a bit.
Yeah.
And your chest, your stomach. So there was a lot to cut off. But you're basically, if you can't even lift your arms up because you can pull out the stitches.
Yeah, right. Were you horrified when you were losing all the weight and you saw all this skin? Was that discouraging for you? Like you never would look good?
I was thinking to myself, it's not going to be me. It's not going to be me. I'm not going to be one of those guys. I'm not going to be one of those guys. And then when I got to 10% body fat, I said, oh man, this has to be addressed,
When they took that skin off, how much weight did you lose just from the skin being removed?
I think it was like maybe 4 pounds, 3-4 pounds.
That's a lot.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. And you know what they tell you when you're recovering? The doctor said no diet, no structure. You got to eat like you were 350 pounds. They said eat McDonald's, Burger King, pasta.
Why would they tell you that?
They tell you that because you're burning over 3,000 calories a day just in recovering. They said basically you're running a marathon, and it really was the case. I actually had to eat like a maniac, and I didn't put on any weight. Yeah. It was really that. I think a lot of that eating helped me recover a lot quicker. Yeah. And be able to kind of bounce back. I think a lot of people would have went the opposite route, and
I'm sure you could have eaten clean and eaten a lot of food too if you wanted to. I mean, it's kind of weird that they're telling a fat guy. It's like telling the heroin addict, take some heroin while you're recovering from this.
Well, even in bodybuilding, you want to kind of make those meals short and dense and caloric. So there's only so much the stomach can handle. Right. So you can accomplish a lot with a nice cheeseburger.
Hey, look, I'm the cheeseburger guy, so you're talking to the choir here. So you recover, a year recovery you do in a month, you're back in the gym, and at what point do you say to yourself, okay, I'm happy with how I look?
I wasn't. You have body dysmorphia. I didn't know I looked incredible until 2 days before my competition. It was funny because I would do a lot of jump rope, and I would have to do it in front of the mirror, because if I didn't do it in front of the mirror, I would run out of breath after 5 jumps. Right. Psychologically, I still thought of myself and saw myself. So my trainer at the time said, wait a minute, stand in front of the mirror. Then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I can do this, So and I'm jumping for 10, 15 minutes, so it's a big difference. So you have all this. So even up until like 2 days before the competition, I was still shy to take off my shirt. Right. I really didn't think I would look good. So we did a video shoot and a family photo shoot in a gym in Manhattan, a real fancy gym. Took off my shirt. I was shy about it. And then he showed me the footage on his camera, what he just did. And I was doing some sort of battle rope thing. I saw muscles bulging out of everywhere. I saw my six pack. I said, man, that's me. I said, oh my God, I did it, Right. And that was like the first time that, and then 2 days later, I stepped on stage, that gave me the confidence to say, I got this.
Do you ever see yourself regressing back to the heavy guy again?
No way. I have such a good grip on nutrition. I have such good goals. And, that's why I tied the business component to this transformation. Our company, Radical Body Transformation. I'm very lucky and blessed. I met James, by happenstance. He had a show on Amazon Prime called Radical Body Transformations. Right. And it says, submit your story. Maybe you'll be on the show. I submitted my story. And he loved it, and he flew down the next day and said, Anthony, I've never seen a transformation like yours in my life. I've been in this industry so long. Why don't we partner together, and why don't you, we do big things? And I said, man, that's a great idea. I says, I'm kind of retired. I love to sink my teeth in the fitness. Right. I said, if I have a business, it's going to keep me solid. It's going to keep me on this path, know? So now that's it. It's business, it's health, it's success. It's all encompassed. And I want to really be an example. I said a lot of things in the documentary. I get 500 to 1,000 messages a day from fans. Wow. I was speaking, it's like the obesity whisperer. I was speaking to people that, that struggle. Sure, really. Sure. And you'd be surprised at moms that reach out to me and, they're like, I'm tired of taking pictures, hiding my fat with my children in front of me, bending over. Like there's all these tricks that they understand. They understood what I was saying. Right.
What year What year did you sell your business? Because you sold it before you started this transformation, or after?
I sold it before I started. I sold it like a year before, and that was making things worse. I was smoking cigars. I was eating. I'm just hanging out, and really just.
You were bored,
just
basically. You were bored.
Yeah. And it was just, I wasn't doing anything. And my wife's like, "What's your excuse now?" Before it was the business.
Right.
What's your excuse now? What is it?
So.
And so, it was just, I started looking at I was going to get into this business where it was like involving food and shakes and, bad food and stuff. That's how much I was really into food.
Wow.
So, I was going down a dark path. And it wasn't really right.
Gotcha. Now, your house is incredible in Brooklyn. And people don't know anything about Brooklyn or New York City. Real estate there is ridiculously expensive. I mean, this house is just phenomenal. We'll put up some video of it and some pictures. But how did people contact you to actually use your house in videos? Because I know 50 Cent did a video there. And
yeah.
How'd that happen?
A lot of celebrities. What happened was I started an entertainment company because in my company, a lot of people wanted to do a reality show. You always have, I was on the show called $1 Million Listing. Yeah. So a lot of people, I had all this entertainment stuff happening around me. And then, of course, my daughter, she's an actress. She's a very busy actress. She's 4.5 now. She's done like 50 acting jobs. She actually has to file taxes.
She's busy. You say it like she's 30 years old. Yeah.
So we started an entertainment company and started investing in small films and large films. Okay. And so it just comes to you out there. In real estate, you start working with celebrities, showing them how homes, selling them homes, leasing them homes. And so the word was out, and you meet enough producers and directors and showrunners. They say, "Hey, I know a guy named Anthony. He has a nice house." So I had the Rolls Royce, I had the nice house, I had all the things. So next thing you know, music videos, movies, short films, everything's happening.
I'm surprised you let people come in your house and film in there. It's that's kind of like your sanctuary, so to speak.
Yeah. But I loved it. I knew that I was building a lot of contacts and connections for the future, and all those relationships were very grateful, very solid. And we always had, they always cleaned up. They had insurance and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of cool.
Where do you go when they're filming in your house?
A lot of times they would put me like in the scenes or behind the scenes, or I would just watch it. I just wanted to be around it.
I'm saying, would you have to move out of the house for a week or so when they're filming?
Oh, no, not at all. Okay. Not at all. The shoots would, we'd be here and they would work around whatever we had going on. So we're pretty laid back people.
Yeah. No, that look, it's fun. It brings. I'm sure your kids loved it too, right?
Oh yeah, they loved it.
Now, when people like 50 Cent come into your house and you're interacting with these guys, do you do business with them, or is it kind of just like?
Yeah, a lot of these celebrities, they want the right guidance. They have a lot of people around them that are good at what they do, but they don't really have a good investor, business-minded person. It takes a real skill set to invest in real estate. Mm-hmm. And these people don't want to manage it. They don't want to run it. So they want to invest in things that are hands-free and that can pay them dividends without headaches, because, there's really no type of investment that's going to beat somebody that's making millions of dollars on a record deal. I don't care how good you are as an investor. A lot of these investments are slow and steady and stable investments.
Right.
But that balloon and explode into big things 5 years, 10 years down the road, and also pay you dividends along the way. But you need to know how to pick and choose the right ones.
Look at Vitamin Water, what it did for 50 Cent, right?
Yeah, that was a big deal.
He made a fortune on that. Now, your home gym. Okay, I asked you before the show. I said, what did you do during this whole, the quarantine? Because New York City had all their gyms closed for months and months. And you told me you took out the entertainment center in your basement with your pool table and all that stuff, and you replaced it with a gym. Was that?
Yeah.
That had to be the final straw where you throw out the old life and you bring in the new life. I mean, I have to imagine, right?
It was first of all, it was so difficult to get gym equipment during the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
Dumbbells, good luck. It's like that was like.
Where did you buy it from?
A 5-pound dumbbell for $1,000 at that time.
I know. Where did you buy? What equipment did you put in there?
So I bought a Smith machine. I bought a dumbbell set from 5 to 150 pound dumbbells.
Nice.
I bought dip bar, dip machine, leg extension, hack squat, preacher curl,
You did it right.
decline bench, the meat and potato stuff. You know, I was able to deadlift and do all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And I was very lucky because it's funny. My partner Carlos was in New Jersey, and he passed by one of these fitness equipment centers, and it said closed, nobody coming in. So he looked through the window and he saw somebody, knocked on the window, and he said, because I was struggling to find this equipment.
Right.
He knocked on the window. The guy comes. He says, we're closed. We're not taking anything. We're also booked. Like we don't have anything until like months because of the pandemic. And he said, well, you know, my partner, Anthony Lolli, this is Anthony Lolli. I used to work for that man 5 years ago.
Oh my God.
Man, he changed my life. He taught me how to sell it. I got this gig here. I manage all these chain stores. He said, for Anthony Lolli, I'm going to get him the equipment.
Wow,
so
you're lucky.
It's like a crazy coincidence where they actually gave us like the showroom equipment and delivered it and all that kind of stuff. So I was lucky because otherwise I had to wait 3-4 months.
That, you know what? That's called divine intervention, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I was on the phone with him, my partner Carlos. He was driving in Jersey on the highway, and I was like, I have no luck. There's so many weights. And he turned, he said, wait a minute, there's like a fitness center right here. I'm going to see what's going on.
Oh my God.
So just like crazy.
And you just happened to train that guy. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's an incredible story. So now, all right, look, you're a guy that likes a lot of highs. I mean, you that's what makes you excited about life. You've achieved your physique, okay? You've got the six pack. You know, you got obviously all the money you could ever want in life at this point. I mean, you're a young guy. You're going to still invest in businesses. What floats your boat now? What's the next move for you that's going to keep you just as excited as you were before?
This business venture I'm doing with James and Carlos with Radical Body Transformations, we're really taking a fresh perspective to the fitness industry because I'm really an outsider. I'm new to this. So, you know, I'm kind of working with the general population. You know, I'm bringing the general public who thought that this is really a closed community and it's really open. You'd be surprised how many people in bodybuilding and in fitness embrace and welcome new people and new faces, as long as you're willing to put in the work. And as long as you understand that you have to have nutrition. I get so many gym owners and trainers and nutritionists that say, I make my clients watch your documentary because you're teaching the basic foundations. You need a coach, you need a nutritionist, and you need a trainer. You know, you have to have those things. So, and then also people that do shows, they write to me all the time. They're like, man, you know, now I've made my family watch this because they thought I was crazy about doing shows. And now they're all embracing me and they understand what it's like to do a bodybuilding show behind the scenes, and normal people do it. And it's can be very popular. It's not just for the people that just want these crazy big bodies. It's for everybody.
Yeah, you know? Absolutely. And I encourage people. The documentary is From Fat Lolli to Six Pack Lolli. And you can it's going to be on Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime. I watched it on.
It's Amazon Prime. It's ranking as the #1 fitness documentary. It's ranking as the #1 documentary to watch on Amazon. So it's awesome. It was a great watch, and I'm not even done watching it. I got to watch the end of it, but it was real, and I think people could relate to it because you were a guy who was so successful in life and in making money, but you were like a dummy when it came to how to take care of your body. And that's why I think people can relate to it, because here you are as this guy who's like controlling all these people and has all this money and power, and yet you're helpless to help yourself. And it's humbling. And I think that's where the endearing aspect of the documentary comes from. Yeah, you know, I talk about it at the end of the documentary. You know, obesity can get anyone, the richest or the poorest. It doesn't matter. Remember, the 9 times that I failed, I still had money. I just didn't put the work into it, you know? And honestly, I didn't spend an incredible amount of money. I hired my local gym. Like, you don't have to be a millionaire to join CrossFit or join a gym or
there's
hire
free
a trainer.
Information online too.
There's
I mean, you watch online. My shows every day, and you can get the motivation and the tool set. It's whether you want to do it inside or not.
Exactly. And, you know, even nutritionists and coaches and stuff like that, you don't break the bank with those things. Everybody I stepped on stage with was not a millionaire, and they all had coaches and nutritionists. So, you know, if you really want to do it, you can do it. And that's this, we kind of created a system now that's like for the everyday Joe through our company, just like to eliminate the excuse. If you want to change your life, you can do it. I get more pleasure, to tell you the truth, out of helping guys like yourself and women also in the same boat. I love the transformation aspect of it, because you know what? These people are so
grateful to you, and they're such great referrers to other people because they're not expecting to win the Mr. Olympia. They just want to look good and look better and be healthy and go to the doctor and have the doctor say, wow, your health markers are good, you look great, you did a great job. That to me gives me more pleasure, okay, and more satisfaction than helping some guy win the Mr. Olympia competition. Although that's exciting too, obviously, but I get more satisfaction out of helping people make big transformations.
Well, you think about it. You take a regular person that's competing in bodybuilding and they're on stage. They're lucky if their girlfriend or their husband shows up, right? You take a transformation person, the aunt, the uncle, the kids, the mom, the boss from work. Everybody's there cheering them on, supporting them, watching them on social media. So there's a huge audience for transformation. Now, a lot of the federations are now incorporating transformation into their bodybuilding competition because it's a really feel-good story.
Yeah, no, it might even be good to have a division, a transformation division.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, honestly, that's the division I competed with in the WBFF.
Okay.
And I had 5 other transformation divisions to compete in, except COVID came, but I was really looking to compete. And some of them are in Europe, some of them are in California. So it's really growing by popular demand.
Right. When you would watch that show, The Biggest Loser on TV, did you ever have an inkling to do that show?
You know, first of all, they quarantine you for a couple weeks, and that just shows you how difficult it is. People say, you need, he was a millionaire. These people, first of all, not all of them had money, and they're quarantined. They have a coach, nutritionist, a chef, a trainer. You can't go anywhere. There's no snacks, and they still fail. Yeah,
I know. It's amazing, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's how hard it is without, the right guidance. And, apparently it's just within the person to really want to do it.
Well, Anthony, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story with our audience. And I think it's very inspirational. I think you're, you've done it all now. So you kind of can see life from every different perspective. And I think that makes you a much more realistic, role model for a lot of people. And I appreciate you taking time and coming on the show. I know you were an avid watcher of RXMuscle, and I appreciate the support.
Absolutely. I appreciate all the content you put out.
Yeah, I'd love to do something with you in the future, maybe.
From day one, I'm a big fan of yours since day one, and I'm an even bigger fan now. Thank you.
Maybe we could do some kind of like a joint venture where we do like a sponsored transformation on RXMuscle using your company or something like that, and giving out some prizes to some of our viewers and stuff like that who maybe want to do I used to do a transformation challenge years ago when I was with Muscular Development. MHP was the sponsor, but we would take like 5 or 6 guys and I would coach them for free using my system, and we were using MHP products because they were the sponsor at the time. And we actually had some amazing transformations, and I'm still friends with a lot of these people that
it's life-changing. I'd love to. Amazing.
Okay, we'll talk about that. Yeah. All right, guys, that's going to take us to the end of another episode of Live With. I'm Dave Palumbo for Anthony Lolli. We'll see you next time.